This is Operation 4 Brothers in Arms, with fan favorites Dominic Santiago, Paddock, plus 4 more characters, 3 maps, including the all-new reactor, and a whole lot more. Operation 4 is loaded with big changes. We've added an all-new rank system. Now, while your rank moves up or down will be clear. But as your rank rises, the ante goes up. With every ranked match costing points to enter, the higher your rank, the more Gears points are on the line. Don't perform, lose points. Have you got what it takes to make it to Master? We're listening, Gears fans. Now, progressing through the Tour of Duty gives you even more. Our new earnable currency, Gears Coins, is your path to unlocking nearly everything in the game. Yup, even store items. And for those dedicated players that complete the tour early, keep leveling up to earn extra Gears Coins. The stakes just got even higher. Welcome to Operation 4 Brothers in Arms.
So if I'm getting this right, I need to introduce this video so that the person watching the video on the internet understands what the video is about. So what this is about... Oh, what does that button do? So basically, that's what I want to talk about in this, really. I'm quite happy overall. What the fuck kind of intro was that? Ugh. Hello! Is hello a better intro? I don't think I've ever started a YouTube video with hello. Hello. Right, Paul, shut up and get on with it. This video... That's too formal. I'm doing a video with my feedback about Operation 4 on Gears 5. Right, there's the intro. I want to start it by saying that I know a few people have noticed and pointed out that I seem to be getting more replies than some other people on Twitter or other places from developers. I just want to make it clear. I know that... I'm not going to name names. I'm going to be very careful not to, but I'm not going to name names. I know there are people in our community who have got close to TC and have changed and have become more about themselves than for the community. I started giving feedback a few years ago, and I made it clear I was doing it for the community. I am not going to just suddenly turn my back on them to start favouring my own ideals. I had an idea of what I thought the ideal Gears game would be, and I was doing that based on things that I would like, obviously, and also because I knew a large amount of the community would also like that. I now am being a lot more appreciative of the efforts that I'm seeing from the Coalition than I used to be, hence the sudden change that you are seeing with some of the feedback that I'm providing. I'm not just becoming a shill, as some people might start to assume. That is absolutely not going to happen. If I see something bad, I will call it out straight away. I am doing this for the betterment of the game, not myself. In this video, I want to talk about my opinions of the things I think that are good, things that I think are bad, and some suggestions that I've got that could make a few things just a little bit better. I want to start by saying, if you've been following me on Twitter, you've probably noticed some really back and forth bits of feedback. Yes, it's amazing. No, it's awful. Yes, it's amazing. No, it's awful. Would I recommend Gears 5 in its current state? No. No, I wouldn't. I know I've said about how amazing the changes were, and I stand by that. The changes and the effort from the Coalition have just been absolutely phenomenal with Operation 4. It's a whole new game. It feels like a whole new Gears game from a whole new team that's listening to the community, and their effort has been outstanding. But I cannot recommend it in its current state. I think maybe that highlights just how bad it used to be. That all of these efforts still aren't enough for me to recommend it. But I feel so awful not recommending it. And the reason that I'm not recommending it is based on two very small adjustments that I feel need to happen that I will cover. Although I will come back to that, I want to start properly with this because I'm not normally the YouTuber who ever really talks about cosmetics, maps, the store. I don't really care too much about all that, so if you want to hear about that sort of thing, go and watch somebody else. But I just want to do a quick take on it because I appreciate the massive change that TC have put into this whole store system. Not only does it look so tidy now, I think that's brilliant, but I love the fact that they've listened. They have made it so you can earn near enough anything in there. And to be honest, I don't even think it's that expensive. I think it is a very good change, especially given how underwhelming a lot of the re-up rewards were. I think that this is a good, not apology, but here, have that. We realise it wasn't great, so go and get what you want on us, sort of thing. And something that they didn't even really let anybody know about, they've actually added all your stats onto the website. They've updated it all, made it all quite tidy and easy to navigate. So you can see an overview. You've got your versus stats for ranked and quick play. You've got all of your escape information, with Justin Bieber looking quite stroppy. You've got your hives. Oh, that's your characters and your hives. I don't really play, so there's nothing there. Horde, all of your Horde information, and then Horde Frenzy as well. Just thought I'd point that out because I know a lot of people like to see the information of their stats. That can be found on the Gears of War website if you sign in. Okay, so my feedback, it's not normally that sort of thing. I just thought it was deserving of a highlight. My feedback is usually based around how the game itself feels and how it plays. I've got some good pointers and some bad pointers. I haven't listed loads because I would say overall the best way I can explain Gears 5 now, it feels like a Gears of War game again. And I don't think there's any point me going through every single thing and praising it when saying it feels like Gears of War again should be the highest praise it can get. I think that one of the main reasons it feels like Gears again is something that not many people are even talking about, which is actually a surprise to me. I think a big factor is the 8-shot Nasher being back again. It feels like Gears. And I think one of the main reasons people probably aren't even mentioning it is because that's what we expect from Gears. It's something that should never have been changed. So seeing that back is brilliant. As I say, there's a lot of other good things that have come in Operation 4. I'm not going to name them all because, to be honest, they are things that, yes, they are brilliant things to see, but they are things that should have been in the game from the start. So, yes, they're appreciated, but they're not really mechanics I'm going to go through and highlight a year down the line. But what I will say is my last thing that I'm impressed with is the Gears points, and it seems to be something that the Coalition are very proud of, and rightfully so. This is what they've built their whole new rank system based upon. If you think back to Gears 4 and pre-Operation 4, ranking up, you didn't really have a clue what was going on. You could play a match, and you could do amazing, and you'd get nothing. You'd lose a match, and you'd go down a rank, and you'd be like, what's going on? I don't understand. I'm not going to go through exactly how it works. I'm going to assume you know at least that much at this point. I think this whole system is brilliant. It is so clear to the point you've actually got to be a moron to not understand how it works. I also like looking at this, seeing that you actually get rewards for going up the ranks as well, so there's actually an incentive to improve. Whereas in the past there wasn't really a proper incentive, but people would do it just to sweat the rank. In this, there's actually a reason to do it, so it's somewhat more understandable, in my opinion. I I want to go through the whole Gears points in more detail and a little bit with my suggestions, so I'm not going to cover it too much right now. But I want to give praise to the system. It is brilliant. I know that probably sounds like I've barely mentioned anything good after saying how amazing the changes were and stuff. I get that, but honestly, there's a lot of things that have made the game better, but on their own, they're not really something to go and highlight in a feedback video. I just wanted to point out the main things which I thought were good. The bad. Honestly, after giving so much feedback for so long and feel like we've been listened to, I don't like being negative in this video. That's why I want to start it off so positive. But I can't not say it. I said earlier that I appreciate the changes and I really do notice them. But in its current state, I can't recommend Gears. And I kind of want to explain that. So there's honestly only two factors that I feel are preventing me from recommending Gears 5. Those being the regeneration while wall bouncing and the slide speed. The health regeneration, that's something I've said I've hated from the moment it was added into Gears 4 later into the test playlists. I cannot stand it. I know that this was something that trickled down from some, not all, some of the professional community, and obviously hearing a professional say this is what needs to happen, you think, oh, they must be right. But to be honest, I disagree, and I put this to, I'm not going to name names, but I put this point to one of the people who are in favour of it, and I got no response. But I don't understand why I got no response, because if I was wrong, you'd think he'd be able to shoot me down, but he didn't. The argument is, this is needed because people just spam A to get out of situations that they don't deserve to get out of. Okay. Well, I flipped that and I said to them, you're meant to be the highest of skill. You're meant to be surrounded by the highest of skilled players. A player can go down in around 1 second worth of Lance of Fire, and a player doesn't start regenerating health for 3 seconds, just naturally, even without this debuff, just naturally, 3 seconds. So, why can such a high skilled player not land a second worth of Lance of Fire on someone before they start to regenerate naturally anyway? Why does that extra hindrance need to be in place? Because the way I see it, with this extra hindrance in place, the Lancer size in Gears 5 is what, 30 or 40 clip size? You can down a player in 9 to 11 shots, whether it's headshot or body shots. That's like a third or a quarter of the magazine. Why would they be so pro towards spraying a rifle at someone? Because the way it works now, with this health regeneration delay, you can literally just empty your entire clip into someone wall bouncing, and as long as 9 or 11 shots hit, that player's going down because they can't regenerate their health. And the player that's doing all the wall bouncing, they're putting in all the work to try and get away to evade. And the player spamming the rifle is just sat there, I don't know, picking the nose. Like, it takes no effort to spray a Lancer. Why would they be in favour of that? I don't understand. This honestly seems like not a logical preference, but more just something to hinder the wall bounce, and I find that so strange. I'd imagine that a player that's supposed to be a professional would be able to land a second worth of Lance of Fire on somebody who's wall bouncing. It makes no sense otherwise. The next point being the slip speed and the 600 UU change that I'd like to see. I'm not going to go into like huge detail, I'm just going to assume you know somewhat the basics, but if you don't, Gears of War is built on the Unreal Engine. It uses Unreal units to measure distance. So when Gears 5 launched, there was a movement speed of 630 UU per second. This was then increased to 650 UU per second later on into the game. We are now trying to see what the game feels like at 600 UU per second, which would be the slowest that Gears 5 has ran on. Personally, having played it, I think it is much better at 600 UU. And that is coming from somebody who enjoys wall bouncing. I feel like it brings the speed of the game down to a point where wall bouncing requires skill and thought, but it's still fun and satisfying to do. But it doesn't let you dart around the map like a lunatic anymore. I think that's an important thing. I think that some people seem to be getting mixed up when it comes to movement speed. I'm not saying lower sensitivities. You can still react to things and everything that you possibly could before, rather. Also, with this me wanting to see it lower to 600 UU, I don't think it's something that a lot of people would be hindered by too much, because I don't believe too many people were pushing the game fast enough to fully utilise the 650 speed that we have now. I see people complaining that they don't want to see it lowered, but I don't think a lot of people are even meeting that in the first place, honestly. They just think that they are. I don't think many people would feel like they're being hindered if this was reduced. And this, combined with the lack of regeneration while bouncing, both of these factors, unfortunately, are enough for me to say the game is not enjoyable to play in its current state. And it is such a shame, because these are two, in my opinion, these are two changes that wouldn't make... No, they would make a difference, that's why I'm asking for them. They wouldn't be bad to do. I can't see any logical reason why either of them shouldn't be changed. And I would honestly, if I seen these two changes, I would go as far as to say Gears 5 is such a tall claim. I'm gonna make the claim. If I see these two changes, I believe Gears 5 could be the best Gears of War game we have had. That is how massive these two changes are. I think that the movement speed being lowered would make the game flow better. I also think that the regeneration delay, or being allowed to regenerate rather, if we had that, I think that all of the issues surrounding weapons being overpowered, namely the Lancer, I think that issue would go away straight away, because it would mean that players would actually have to land their shots to down you, which is how it should be in the first place. And the only people I see complaining at that are the people that can't land the shots, but to be honest, that's kind of tough. Just get better. Those two changes, best Gears game we've had. I've said it. Two changes, best Gears game we've had. Okay, so that's the good and bad out the way. Now I've just got a couple of suggestions, kind of around the new Gears points and how the ranking works. So I want to break the Gears points down into two things, because I've seen one thing discussed and I've got an idea based on the ranks for myself. So I've seen a lot of people who don't like the graphic on the screen when they're playing of the Gears points to the top right. In my first few games I didn't like it either, but it did sort of grow on me quite quickly. I actually do think it looks quite cool now. But I do think that the screen is kind of filled now, and that's not even taking into account the Omen. I think too many things are popping up. You've got your kill feed at the bottom left, you've got your Gears points to the top right, you've got your objective at the top left, and when you get a kill you've got the skulls, a shoal of skulls. My idea to make it look a lot cleaner when you're playing, so there's not so many things popping up, I would keep obviously the objective in the top left. I would keep the kill feed in the bottom left. I would remove the skulls that pop up when you get a kill. I've never been a fan of them. I think they look a little bit tacky. And although I like the Gears points at the top right, I think it does kind of add to the whole clogging up the screen. So what I'd do with it, where it is now, it's fine, but I'd have it so it looks like this when you press back. So with that, all of your scoring is in one place when you look at the scoreboard. It's not half of it's on your main screen, half of it's when you press back. It's all in the same place. And this kind of leads me into my next thought, and it does lead me into the whole ranked and the rewards you're getting for each game. I think that the scoreboards do need to have the actual score back on them, as much as I like the idea of the Gears points, and the reason being, it feels like every player's kind of all over the show. Once you start to get to the end of the game where everyone's sort of met all their objectives, everyone's kind of in the same place, and a player who's done significantly more is near the bottom of the scoreboard. It shouldn't be like that. I think that the scoreboard should display your actual score like it always has done, and you should also be able to see how many points you've earned, the Gears points, throughout the match. So what I'd like to see with that as well is a true MVP like we used to have. So the highest point earner in the game, regardless of whether they won or lost, the highest point earner in the game should get MVP. And I think MVP should get a reward of maybe 15 or 20 Gears points. So that there's an incentive to play even better once you've got your objectives done. So I've been playing a bit of Koth now to try and test out a new ranking system. And overall, I think it works really well. I think it's a really good system that kind of encourages you to try that little bit harder to squeeze out the points so you can see what you're earning. But I think that you are being limited, and that's not just me feeling it. You're clearly being limited. But that is a very good thing, and I feel like you need to be limited. Otherwise, people would start boosting it, they'd start just completely abusing it if you could earn as many points as you wanted from a match. They would just play differently. That's just how people play. So the limit needs to stay in place, but I think it needs to be different than it is now. I've got a few points on how it needs to be different. My first, I feel like now we've got this system, eliminations need to go. We need to go back to kills and assists. It just has to happen. As it stands now, you can put minuscule damage with any weapon. People seem to be doing it with a Lancer. You can do it with any weapon, and you'll get the exact same elimination score as somebody who does the rest of the work to get the kill. That is stupid. It should not be like that. What I feel should happen, I feel like eliminations should change to kills, and kills should be worth 1 Gears point, not 2 in King of the Hill. So then you'd be wondering, how do assists work? Well, think back to the Gears of War 1 Omen and the Gears of War 1 point system. If you don't know, it was judged 1, 2, 3 and 4 point based on how much damage you did or what stage of the Omen you got the opponent to. So let's say you had the opponent 4 point, that'd mean they are full red. If somebody else got the kill, you would get a 4 point assist. The way I'm picturing this, an assist needs to actually be an assist, not just tickling someone. So if we're using the Gears of War 1 point method for me to describe this, I would say 1 or 2 points of damage should be worth nothing as an assist. 3 or 4 points worth of damage should be worth an assist. And with me saying a kill should only be worth 1 point, I believe assist should count as kill. So that also gets to 1 point. Whereas the lower assists that barely took any assistance don't get rewarded. I'm aware that returning to kills and assists bring back the whole kill stealing issue, especially now it rewards points. So I believe if somebody steals a kill but did no damage to it, then they should not get a reward. If they do steal a kill and somebody else did a lot of damage, the person that got the down should be rewarded with kill counts as assist, so they'd get the point. That way, it brings back the kill stealing issue, but then instantly fixes it again. So, That covers my idea for changing the way the eliminations are. It needs to be kills and assists. In King of the Hill, the ring captures and ring breaks, I'm not really too fussed on what the maximum amounts you can get are, but I believe they need to be intertwined a bit. Reason being, let's say you're having a really good game, your team is absolutely dominating the other team. You might not get an opportunity to get 10 ring breaks. So that means you're missing out on 10 gears points for playing well as a team. That needs to change a little bit. I believe if it was a combined effort of captures and breaks, then you'd still be able to play well enough to potentially get your 20 overall captures, or a mixture of captures and breaks as you go through. I think, as it is now, you're kind of preventing a good team from getting any breaks to get any gears points. That could do with a little bit of work. My idea for the entire ranking system, it kind of changes the limits to how many gears points you can earn per match, and I believe that should be based on the rank you're at. So, a bronze player or a silver player, obviously I'm wanting kills to be worth 1.02, so that's what I'm going to base this on. A bronze player or a silver player, you wouldn't expect them to be getting 80 kills in a match. That's quite a tall order. Obviously the buy-in for bronze is free, so I'm going to kind of ignore that. So I'm going to start at silver. I think that the maximum amount of points that a silver player should be able to earn is 65 points, because that's their buy-in. And a gold player, their buy-in is 130 points. So their maximum possible score in that match should be 130 gears points. That should be the same all the way up the board to master, where their buy-in is 200 points. They should be able to earn 200 points in that match based on their own solo performance. I know that might seem a bit strange. What if a gold player got 200 kills but only got 130 points? That's not fair. No, that's true. But if that player was consistently performing at that caliber, they would shoot up the ranks to the point where they are in that rank, and that would show they belong there. So, the reason I'm saying that, for a long time, a problem has been it's heavily based on the win to rank up, which I think is still important. So I'm using the word problem, but kind of not explaining very well. I believe a frustration then. A frustration is having a poor team letting you down when you play really well. So my idea of being able to cover your buy-in with your own performance in a game, it kind of eliminates that. So if you perform well, you can, to an extent, just nullify that match where it doesn't exist. Like, you're not going to gain anything from it if you lose, but if you play extremely well, you can cover your own buy-in to the point where maybe that match didn't count. But if you don't play to the expectations of what, for example, a master would be expected to play at, if you fall short or you lose, then that's where you're really going to start losing a lot of points. If you're playing well, but your team lets you down, you're not going to get too much of an impact. Whereas the way it is now, if you lose as a master, you can only earn 100 points in that match, so you're going to lose half your buy-in, even if you were to come out of that with 200, 300 kills. I know that's a lot, but as an example, that's still true. You could come out of that with 100 points, even if you were flying around dominating. So, with my idea, it's still quite a tall order to get, 200 kills as a master? That's a lot, but it'd be possible, and if the player didn't do that, then they'd be like, oh, okay, I was kind of let down for not getting the win, but I could have made it up for my kills, but I didn't quite play enough to get my kill quota. I think it should be adjusted with rank slightly. So with that, it'd mean that when playing, you would be covering your own buy-in. You would be covering your own rank drop or potential rank drop with your own performance, so you couldn't really blame anyone else for that. If you perform well, you cover your own buy-in and cannot go down. The only way you will be progressing not including the bonus MVP reward I suggested, but the only way you'd really be progressing would be winning the match, which I believe was what the intention was all along, progression by winning. I think this covers all of that, in my opinion. All in all, that's my thoughts on the Operation 4 update. Honestly, I think it's an absolutely fantastic update, and I think the changes we've seen with TC are just, I didn't think I'd ever see them. They're absolutely brilliant. I would love to see those couple of little changes, and this would be the best gears we've had.